Welcome to Brad Kyle's Brad's Motorworks podcast, where we'll be talking about some things about BMW, some things of cars in general, and some things about car repair. I hope you find it educational, enlightening, and I hope it increases your understanding of your car. And maybe along the way we'll have some fun too. Thank you for listening, and here we go. Episode number 58. Out of town? Car lets you down? Now what? First off, I want to thank Paul Watson. He's one of my current ongoing customers for this particular subject title. It's something I hadn't really quite thought about, and I sort of covered it in a previous episode. But there's some things that came up that I certainly thought of that, well, this would be a good separate podcast. So the idea being is that you're on a road trip, you're out of town, and something happens with the car, and it's like, well, now what do I do? Okay. Well, first of all, the process is for anytime you're on a road trip, the first process is to make the car reliable, so that which starts with proper maintenance and repairs and finding the best shop for you first. In other words, just keeping the car properly maintained in the first place. Okay. As far as finding the best shop for you in your local area, you're probably going to want to check out episode number 12, which is entitled How to Find a Great Repair Shop. And while you're doing that, while you're going through that podcast and then in the process of finding a good repair shop for yourself locally where you live, part of what you may want to ask them would be, do they belong to either any state or national trade associations? In other words, automotive repair trade associations, okay? And if they do belong to any, jot that down. Put that maybe, whether you put that on your phone or whatever the case may be, because these are all potential future places that if you are on a road trip, not to skip ahead, but find out who, if any, they belong to, and then also ask them whether they have or if they offer any kind of a nationwide warranty. Because if they are part of a trade association and that part of that association, they offer a nationwide warranty, then you're certainly going to want to be able to find, other locations while you're on your road trip to be able to take the car to. And, certainly if this happens during normal business hours, the first thing I would recommend to do is to call your normal repair shop first and say, hey, look, this is what's going on. Can you guys refer me to a local shop as close to where I am? Okay. But if you're, the wise thing to do would be to have this stuff available, this information available ahead of time, because what happens if this happens at, late at night or on a weekend and your normal repair shop is closed? Okay. And I also, on this particular episode, I want to apologize. My voice probably sounds a little bit nasally because, yes, I have a little bit of a cold. So anyway, hopefully you can bear with me. Also, check out episode number 46, which I referenced a moment ago, which is Road Trip Readiness, What to Look For. On that podcast, I talk about things that, you can potentially either do yourself or certainly have a shop do for you before you go on any kind of a road trip, okay? And certainly, again, going back to having the car properly maintained and repaired, certainly if you're going to be going on some sort of a road trip, you may want to consider, especially if the car hasn't been in for a while for any kind of maintenance or anything, to, when you do take it into your normal repair shop, that you tell them, hey, I'm going to be going on a road trip. Just kind of make sure you guys check it over and let me know, is there anything that I should be thinking about having replaced, ahead of time. Okay. Having said all of that, even all with the best of, preventative maintenance, trying to be proactive as far as repairs and things like that. Unfortunately, yes, things can still happen. Okay. And so again, if something happens, you're stuck somewhere, whatever the case may be. Hopefully you're not on the side of the road, but that certainly can happen. It's a possibility. Yes, the first thing to do would be to call your normal preferred repair shop and see if they can give you a referral. Okay. If they're closed, they're not available, the first thing would be to, and again, obviously you can do this on your own, assuming you have a cell phone with you, which, let's face it, most people would be to check out if there's any state or national trade associations. Okay, certainly state, depending upon where you are. Okay, I can mention a couple. But typically on their website, they will have some sort of a public area where you can do what's called a shop locator type thing, where you either punch in like the zip code you're at or maybe the city that you know you're in, and it'll do some sort of a search, radius type thing. It'll tell you local shops that are part of that trade association. Okay. And understand when I say that, I'm not saying that just because they belong to a trade association, they're going to be the best shop. Okay. But, so there's no guarantee that it is the best shop. But the bottom line is by them being involved with and belong to some kind of a trade association, there is certainly a, annual fee to be part of that association. And they may very well be, heavily involved with the running of it and, so on and so forth. So it certainly at least means that they see the value of being involved with and part of a trade association. Again, whether that's at the state or the national level. Personally, myself, in the state of California, the one statewide trade association we have that is, again, mechanical repair shop oriented is called ASCCA, which means Automotive Service Councils of California. We have a website. It would be ascca.org. And yes, there is a, shop locator type tab on there on the website. So there is a public area. And so, again, you can find, okay, well, is this, I'm broken down. Maybe I can't talk with my normal shop. I can, try to get some, help myself in some way just by looking at trade associations that are available. And again, California State would be ASCCA. A national association is called ASA, which means Automotive Service Association. Okay. Again, that's a national. So, depending upon where you are. Certainly another one, and then this would be common that people certainly recognize, is AAA. Okay. AAA, besides offering insurance and towing, they do have repair shops that I will say the AAA deal is that not only do they pay a fee, the repair shop, but they do actually have to have some kind of minimum tooling standard. Certainly if AAA hears, some bad feedback from a customer about a particular shop, they potentially will do some investigation of the situation because ultimately, it reflects on them. Okay. So certainly that would be a nationwide association. And just because if you're not necessarily a AAA member doesn't mean you can't go to a AAA shop. You certainly can. So if you're looking for possible options of where to get my car repaired now that I'm, broken down on my road trip, ASA would be one. AAA would be certainly one. The other thing, again, to check with your shop, your preferred shop locally where you live, would be, do they necessarily belong to, if they tend to work on, let's say they're a specialist where they only work on like European cars or they only work on Asian cars or whatever, there may very well be trade associations they belong to that are more specific. I belong to one that is BMWs only. Okay, it happens to be called BIMRS.org. That's BIMRS.org. Yes, we are a nationwide as well as international association. There's about 300 members approximately. That's mostly shop owners and some technicians, and certainly most of our members are here, in the USA. But it is an international association, and that particular one is more of the shops that we allow in, as well as pay. They have to pay a fee. Is shops that either specialize either only in BMWs or maybe, if worst case scenario, so to speak, would be they work on all the European cars, which obviously BMWs is one of those. Okay, so again, that might be something else to check. You're doing yourself a favor if you kind of get all this information and gather it up and make it available to yourself before you go on your road trip. Okay, so again, it goes back to finding a good repair shop you feel good about in the very beginning, having them properly maintain the car and repair it as needed, taking the car in if you know you're going on a road trip. Take it in specifically for that, if even that necessarily, let alone if it necessarily is due for other repair work or maintenance work or whatever. I have had customers who've made the appointment strictly because, hey Brad, it's been 4, 5, 6 months. It's not due for anything, but I'm going to go on this road trip. I'd really like to have the car checked over. Hey, great. Okay, no problem. Yes, I do charge a small fee depending upon how long it's been since the last time I saw the car. Okay. And, it's a set of hopefully trained eyeballs that are looking things over and checking out different systems, making sure that everything seems like it's all, ready to go. And obviously, nobody wants to be on the side of the road with their car, and certainly not on the side of the road out of town. Okay. It's not fun for anybody. And so proper maintenance and repairs, having a preferred shop you normally go to, talking with them ahead of time about do they belong to any trade associations, and if so, what are they? And again, if they have any kind of a nationwide warranty, because that could definitely influence where you take the car initially. Obviously, you only want to be taking it to one repair shop. So if it's one that they can either refer to you, or can recommend, or can say, hey, this is part of the association, and so the nationwide warranty goes along with it, with the repair, whatever they did. Maybe something happens to the repair that they did, before. So give them a chance to respond, and hopefully, if they're open during business hours, I'm sure they will. I certainly have had customers who are moving. That's another situation for that matter. Yeah, you're on a road trip because you're driving to where you're moving to, okay? Again, ahead of time, talk with your shop. Find out, hey, I'm going to be moving to, such and such. Is there a shop in that area you can recommend that I can go to and feel good about? This is all being proactive, which is what you really, best case scenario, that's what you want to do, is to be proactive about your car and do everything you can within reason to, maintain the car properly and keep it reliable. And so you have a nice, happy motoring experience with your car, especially on a road trip. That's, you want to be able to enjoy yourself. Maybe this is a vacation thing, or you're just, you just feel like traveling. So do the best you can to keep your car maintained and reliable, and have fun on the trip, and not have to worry about it. So that's about it for this one. It was kind of a quickie, but I thought, talking about the trade associations seemed like it'd be pretty important, and some of the things to do ahead of time. Paul, thank you again for the idea. I appreciate it. And by all means, I'm always open to any new subject title ideas. I kind of always try to tend to mention that at the end of the podcast, which I will right now. Again, email bkpodcast5@gmail.com. I'm also on LinkedIn, and so again, if I haven't covered a subject and you have an interest in it, I've been more than happy to, if I need to do some research, that's fine, and put together some notes and stuff and do a podcast, and we all learn more about our cars and using them and hopefully enjoying them. Okay, I'm also on LinkedIn. And again, I do have a repair shop in Newbury Park, California. It's called Brad's Motor Works. Yes, I have a couple different websites. You're always welcome to check that out. And if you're ever in the area, stop by and say hi and introduce yourself, and let me know how you feel about the podcast, and hopefully it's something that's helped you. Appreciate your time. Appreciate your listening. I hope you have a fantastic day and a great tomorrow. Thank you again. Thank you for listening to this episode. It's been an honor and a privilege to spend time with you. I hope you found this of value. Please share it with family and friends. Above all else, with all you're getting, get understanding. May God bless you and keep you, and thank you again.